Hi, and welcome to a very special Coworking, a podcast about what makes coworking special. And this month, we're welcoming Michelle Titus from Cummari in Sicily.
Hi.
And it's a bit special because Cummari is not a co-working, but it's also about community, which I believe is the main theme of this podcast. It's a co-living, and not just any co-living. It's a very boutique-like co-living space. We'll talk more about it later. And yeah, I wanted to me there's a strong link between co-living and community and co-working and community. It's one of those spaces where you build something else, something different, something special. And as a former digital nomad and maybe a future digital nomad as well, co-living and co-working were my place to discover the new region where I travel to. So to me they're both really important. Michelle, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you, Fanny.
So you started Cummari in Sicily, and it's your very first space. So you didn't start any other co-living space before. It's the first time you're doing it, and you were also traveling before settling down there, right?
Yes, I was traveling for most of my adult life because I was an international correspondent working with Hong
Mhm.
Kong, China, and Brazil. And so I was always on a few month assignments around the world for the majority of my career before I chose to move to Sicily. So Sicily was a huge change to stop the travel and instead be the hostess and be the space holder, the space creator, instead of the person always trying to find the perfect space.
So you were a nomad before it was a thing, before because at that time there was no maybe it was
I mean,
Skype, but there wasn't so many video call tools, so it wasn't that practical at the time. So it was really reserved for a few selected jobs, right?
yes, we lived in corporate flats. I
Mhm.
started in 2006, and they were really
Okay.
geared towards businessmen traveling international. I think there was maybe at that time 1% women, maybe, that were traveling
Mm.
international for work and living abroad. So definitely nothing was catered towards women, and it was very stark and just plug in your computer to the Wi-Fi and
Yes.
hope you have good service kind of thing. So I definitely started a long time ago and got to watch everything evolve, and especially when Airbnb came onto the scene and when
Yes.
co-working spaces came onto the scene.
Hmm.
And then thankfully I was able to be part of when co-living really started taking off when I made my transition. So it's been kind of my life's work being part of this environment, and it's really nice to be on this end of things now. As much as I'm still always a traveler at heart, my lifestyle isn't there now. So I'm really happy to be able to host the travelers. And then, of course, through our relationships, I travel via them. So it's also very nice in that
That's
respect.
true. That's true. And what
Hmm.
made you want to settle down and to stop traveling and to settle down in Sicily specifically?
I really felt a calling in my late 30s to
Hmm.
give back. I had enjoyed my experience traveling, and I still love to travel
Yes.
now. It's not something that I ever really want to stop doing. However, I
Mm.
did feel the need to ground myself. I really envisioned myself creating a hearth, if you will, where I
Mm.
could gather other people and have them feel safe and good in this space, and to share something that was a little more tangible in my life.
Mhm.
So it was really a personal need of where I was at. And then also seeing that my friends and the women I worked with in my industry also would like such a thing. So I didn't know how many would like the idea when I had the
Mhm.
idea. I thought maybe just a very small portion of people. But now, as the years pass, it seems like the idea is becoming also an idea many people have, and
Yes.
don't even know we exist already, but we do exist. And so it is interesting just to see how the world is changing in terms of
Mhm.
community, female community, co living, and co working too. The environment of co working has changed so much too.
Yeah, and you were saying as you're traveling that that whole system was more made for men, and there were really little women. And today you're especially focusing on women as well.
Right. So Kumari is a place where we prioritize persons that identify as female, and we always have. With that being said, our first guests were actually a male couple that stayed in one of our rooms. So we're a very open environment, and men are very crucial to running Kumari, being partners with Kumari, helping the Kumari guests explore Sicily.
Hmm.
However, what I found living in 18 different countries around the world as a correspondent is safety is such a priority. And I've lived in other co-livings too, where I felt, you know what, maybe it'd be nice if we were just all women. Maybe I would have a little more comfort going to the bathroom late at night, or maybe I wouldn't lock my door, or maybe I'd just be more comfortable even with the clothes I chose to wear while I was working in the common space. And so this female space was also this space where women could just be themselves and not have to second guess anything that they do or anything that they wear or anything that they say, because it's a space for women.
Hmm.
And so that's where the concept came out, was that, you know, we're not anti-men, but wouldn't it be nice part of the year maybe to just live with women in this community environment? What would that feel like? And so
Hmm.
far it's felt really great. So it's good.
So you keep on. And when did you start your space in Sicily?
I bought the space pre-COVID, and then we opened middle COVID. So 2020 is when the renovation was done, and we started
Okay.
hosting people really in the middle of the pandemic. But certain people could come, and the women were so gracious with each other during that time
Hmm.
of safety and taking care of each other, and keeping space when they needed to, and keeping things cleanly. It was too easy almost. And then because of COVID, it went from this small group of women that I thought might be my target market to so many women that were, you know, giving up their houses, giving up their old lives even, and traveling
Okay.
for the
Yeah.
first time because they
Hmm.
could. So it's been really, what I've just been exposed to, incredible women that are also on this new journey in their life, that's been really wonderful for me to be part of too.
Yes, so there's a silver lining to all those lockdowns, which had many bad sides. But one silver lining is that remote work got known by more and more people, and those more people could work from where they wanted actually, and not where they had to, and
Right.
maybe that increased your audience a bit.
It did. And then I think there's also, we're seeing a lot of women over 50 kind
Hmm.
of getting divorces, changing their career, changing their life, and thinking, I want to travel. And maybe they're from a generation where traveling by yourself isn't something they've ever thought to do. So Kumari's also
Mm,
been this safe landing place for a lot of women who have never traveled by themselves, want to kind of feel it out. And so Kumari's also been like a
yes.
jumping point for some of them,
Mhm.
to get their bearings, to see what it feels like. And then I've seen them really flourish and travel around the world and even move to other countries after staying at Kumari as one of their first places. So I've really been able to witness how women are right now in the world, especially these travel curious women. And now they're all part of this community that I've created of Kumari, as the women do stay in touch and meet up with each other in different cities,
Mm,
even if they weren't in Kumari at the same time. They'll still meet up
yes.
with each other in different places. I have two that are working full time together now, and so there's a lot of support within the community just because of their common bond of being these curious, adventurous women that trust other women.
Yeah.
So
Wow. Wow.
yeah.
Hmm. So that's how it started and got developed bit by bit. How is it today? Did your conception, did you get some feedback? Did you pivot a bit? How did it go?
Yeah, it's, as a business owner, because I've been an
Mhm.
entrepreneur since my late 20s, and now I'm in my early 40s. And so as an entrepreneur, it's been so gratifying to have a business that is breeding positive energy and connection and growth for other people.
Mhm.
And so that's been the biggest surprise to me, is that I thought I was opening up a beautiful house that myself and my partner, who's an architect here, renovated. And that was like, wow, I'm
Mhm.
just doing something beautiful for people. But then
Mhm.
once the women populated it, it became something completely I would never expected, which is this gorgeous community of people I want to know.
Mhm.
So everyone was coming in and becoming my friend. And some of them now are my best friends here in Sicily and around the world, just because I spend so much time with them in the co-living house, even though I don't
Mhm.
live there. And so the biggest surprise to me has been also wonderful people like you and other women that have connected with me because of the work with Cummari, that
Mhm.
my world has just expanded. And then the women inside Cummari, their world's expanded because of it too, because I'm putting them in touch with my network. And then also here in
Mhm.
Sicily, the Sicilians, how they have really accepted this project. Of course, I am from New
Mhm.
York originally, but I haven't
Mhm.
really lived in America majority of my life. I've mostly lived in Asia, Australia, Northern Europe, and a little
Mhm.
bit in North America in my adult life. So I was hesitant coming in here. I don't want to be the colonizer, Western white woman coming in and saying, I'm
Mhm.
starting something amazing with a Sicilian name. Of course, now I am part of a Sicilian family, and my child is
Mhm.
Sicilian. So I am integrated here, but I really wanted to be respectful
Mhm.
of the culture. So I've taken time to curate a community of people that
Mhm.
are Sicilian and international that also host the Cummari with me. So that's been another element of how it's going that is just amazing. My
Mm.
network here and
Mhm.
support of the Sicilians that are artisans or tour guides or
Yeah.
chefs are just beautiful. And that also has been something really unexpected, because Sicily is a quite wild, rebellious place. And they're very open to new ideas and to new energy
Mm.
and to mixing in foreigners. So there has been no barriers to myself doing business here or to my
Mhm.
community thriving here.
Yeah, so what I understand is that partner with local is really key, and that's something I've heard again and again, especially where you're in a more rural area and not in such big cities. Locals are have their routines, their habits, and seeing suddenly foreigners come in and have their own, your own custom, your own habits, can be a bit weird for them. So before bringing all those foreigner visitors, even though they might have good intent, partnering with locals, seeing what the local thing looks like, what the local businesses wants, and the local communities wants is really important. That's something I heard from other co-living and other co-working spaces, that they were partnering with locals, and that was a key element of the success. It's not just bringing the international guest, it's also um, asking for the locals to get the locals involved in some kind of way, and I feel that's what you were explaining too.
100%. And I see now, like, a few big magazines and newspapers lately have been talking about co-living spaces
Mhm.
failing.
Yeah.
But it's so easy to see why they didn't think of community first. They didn't think of the
Mm,
hosts first. They didn't think of who will show them around that city or that place. They just thought,
yes.
okay, invest in real estate, make a very comfortable high-end apartment, and there you go. But that's not it. Like, it's exactly what you're
Mm,
focusing on, the community aspect. And without
mhm.
people that genuinely care about community, which is not
Yes.
easy work. We're dealing with lots of
Mhm.
cultures, lots of personalities, lots of trauma, lots of
Mhm.
different religions, age, everything. You
Yes.
have to really love it. You have to want to do it. So it's been kind of laughable to me to see that people are making it a big deal that some co-livings are failing. And I'm like, they never were co-living. They were just real estate investment places,
Mhm.
because the community is the number one feature that makes it a living space, a home. You have to have
Yes.
humans to be part of that. That's something you can't replace in any other way. And you can't just hire somebody to do that for you. The leadership has to like want to do that. So I've seen
Yes.
other co-living spaces succeed for that reason, and then other ones not for that, the same exact reason, big or small.
Yeah, it made me think about different terms in co-working. So we say co-working, and then there are different types, like business center or flex office. So flex is used a lot. I believe flex office and co-working are two different things. With, as you're saying, co-working, it has that community part. It goes further than just offering, and that it's great, just offering a good office with all the infrastructure you need. If that's what you do, that's what you do, and that's great. But co-working is something different. I think co-living is like that. You might have flex real estate or flex housing, but co-living isn't that. It's something different.
Right. And I do see on the work side that a lot of my guests do need a lot of quiet time. So they prefer to do
Mm,
work in their rooms,
yes.
but they love the option that they can go to the common room and find other people or get a change of
Yes.
scenery. I have one guest who's stayed now 4 or 5 times. She's from Malaysia. Dana. Hey, Dana.
Hmm.
And Dana, like, needs to eat while she writes. She's a writer, a professional writer, and she needs to eat while she
Okay.
writes. She's always in the kitchen, but do they create this wonderful environment of like, where do you find each other? Or they'll come out after a frustrating maybe client call, and then they'll
Mm,
find the other women in the kitchen and kind of have a chat. Or I've had women go through major legal battles, and they'll find the other women and start talking about their problems with their business or other factors, and they get this support when they need it. So it's actually been interesting on the co-working side. There's a lot of solo time, but then they love that when they need it, somebody's there and they can find like
mhm.
like a soft face, like someone else that gets it or is willing to listen. And because Cummari isn't for one age group, that's been really interesting too. In the
Mhm.
co-working side is that
Mm,
women of different ages are able to give each other advice. So even, obviously the women in their 20s give me a lot of advice on what to do with
mm,
marketing or technology ideas.
yeah.
But then of course my guests in their 60s offer me invaluable advice on so many things with my career and what I'm
Yeah.
doing, and the same with the other women. So that's been really enjoyable in a co-working space, is this multi-generational working together while not working together going on too.
Yes. That's true. That's true. And I know that your co-living space is small, and
Yes.
small, I believe, on purpose too, because it gives a different vibes, and that has its pro and its con. Why did you decide to have a smaller space?
Um, really because of me trying to also be anti-capitalist or anti-go big. I've
Mm,
always worked in boutique companies that have been mine, and I love
mhm,
these niche environments where people can really get to know each other, and
mhm,
it's really worked out that way. I am only a little sad is that women can be quite protective of the space, that I often get requests for people who are day travelers in Sicily wanting to work at Cummari, but it's also such a home that it's hard for me to just like open the doors to the community
yes.
unless it's one of our events, which we do often do, women's circles and other events, and then the community can come too. But maybe that's just, I wish I always had one extra room where the women felt it
Mm,
wasn't part of their house, where we could invite men and women to come co-working too.
mhm,
And maybe we'll be able to pull that off in the future. But also because I'm completely self-funded and bootstrapped this venture, I can't
yeah.
have such large spaces. So, but it's worked out. I love it. I love the
Mm,
number of 3 rooms.
mhm,
Often I've had business partners share a room, best friends, mother and daughter. So we sometimes can be 4 in the house at once. And
mhm,
that's a great number. And they like it as well, at keeping
mhm.
it small like that. I also run
Yes.
co-working retreats, and they can be
Okay.
up to 10 people, and that's
Mhm,
much more dynamic. But you see that often each group finds one new really great friend because it's such a large group, and they get quite connected. So I had a group here in November of
mhm,
10, and then I see some of the women now spending time together in Manhattan and New York City, and 2 randomly are neighbors now. And one got COVID, and the other one was the first one to bring over food to her, stuck in her new apartment.
mm,
And they're on a basketball team together in New York City. I mean, it's just amazing. And they were guests on my co-working retreat of 10
Mm.
didn't know each other, and now they're in each other's lives consistently. So I do love the big groups too, and I do plan to do more of those larger events, such as that I have a digital nomad
Mhm.
festival coming up here in Sicily in October that's for
Mhm.
40 people that I'm running with another co-working space in Ortigia. And that again is boutique as a festival because it's for maximum 40 people, but
Yes.
it's that ability for people to find all different sorts
Mhm.
of nomads and to be able to connect with maybe, you know, people they really get along with, but then also expand their network with very diverse group of people too.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's, as I was saying, has its pros and cons. Some people
So
want to grow, grow, grow and have more members, more seats, and so on. But you get some a quality that you might not have if you stay smaller. Mm. Do you also have a limit on the time spent? Do you have a minimum or a maximum or?
yes, I have a minimum of 4 nights because
Okay.
even 4 nights, usually the women get quite sad that they're leaving too fast. But I want to make it flexible for people that are
Mhm.
trying it out because often I have people come and then they'll extend or they'll come back. So
Mhm.
4 nights is our minimum, but it is sometimes hard for the other women because they're like, oh, she's leaving so fast. You know, it's hard on both
Oh,
sides.
yeah, yeah.
And then maximum is 2 months, which
Hmm.
I find again is to keep the house being everyone's house. Because
Yes.
sometimes if you stay too long, then it becomes your space and it's harder for other women to maybe integrate in or
Hmm.
feel like it's this natural flow of different nomadic women coming and going. So 2 months is the maximum at this time.
Okay, no, good. And so we were talking about your space, how it came to be. Do you have plans for the future? Do you have a next step coming or?
Yeah, really exciting is that in 2 days I should be signing on a new property that's located in
Oh,
a really beautiful old port town of where all the wine used to go out to mainland Europe from Sicily, from Volcano Etna in particular. So it's at the base of Volcano Etna on the sea, and this house would be 5 doors away from the sea, from the port. And
yes.
so from the front door, you see the boats, and from the rooftop, you see Volcano Etna, who was erupting last night. So the guests will be able to be on the roof terrace watching the volcano erupt and in 5 minutes be or less be dipping into the sea.
Hmm.
And so this location is much different than Catania because there's a long strip of to run along the sea with a bicycle lane as well. There's the port right there. It's a fisherman village, so the markets are gorgeous. Everything's like really quaint, but then there's really wonderful bars and restaurants and a new brewery, and it's this like mix of old Sicily, very traditional, immersive environment with some new investments being made by Sicilians into that town. And so it's also still just 30 minutes from the Catania International Airport, and it's 20 minutes on train to famous Taormina now. But we'll be going from big city to small city with Cummari to this new seaside location, which is
Yes.
also going to be its own standalone house. So
Mhm.
there will be a full apartment at the bottom floor and co-working space, and then the second floor is 2 more bedrooms with another full apartment setting, and then there's a rooftop terrace that is all for the women. So we're going to be going from this gritty dynamic city vibe to a much more like open space and a lot of space for women to
Mhm.
have the work life balance with working out. Because a lot of women really like to go for walks or for runs or for swims. And this is
Yes.
like at their footsteps. So that's a big announcement I hope to be making, that I signed everything this week, but it will happen soon. I mean, we're just working with the lawyers and I am in Sicily, so
Yes.
nothing's really on time. So, that's huge. And
Yeah.
then it's a complete renovation again. So
Mm.
this renovation, whereas the
Mhm.
last one was all of my ideas, now I can also incorporate, so with certain guests in mind, how
Mhm.
I want to decorate the different rooms, how I want to transition this kind of noni grandparent house in again into a new beautiful space for women that inspires them. And I'll also be doing a call for muralists, for female muralists, to come and to stay for free while they make a mural and to help me also create this space as the new Cummari. So it's really exciting. It's a lot of work, but now that I'm a few years in, I'm
Yes.
very committed to this. As soon as
Mhm.
I saw this house for sale, the first people I texted, even before my mother or my sister, was the Cummari community and said, I just found a house. What am I? I might buy this, and ask their advice, ask for their good energy. And so, they're my people with this. We're all in it together. And so many are ready to book for the next place and excited. Whereas the first time I was all by myself. Now I'm not by myself anymore. Now I've got like a huge group behind me, and then it makes me
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
excited of who I'm going to meet with the new venture too, of like who's going to come in the door, and where Cummari will go in the future, as I do plan to keep doing work with feminine history and matriarchal studies and helping women not just form this feminine community, but also go deeper in remembering our roots and kind of healing some traumas in that as well, and learning how we can come together, because maybe
Mhm.
in our own lives we haven't seen that, or maybe in our work lives we haven't seen that. And so part of my work too in this next phase of my life is to help women also not just have this safe space, but to be able to educate
Mhm.
themselves too on feminine values and how we can all work together too in a very peaceful way, which women have
Mhm.
done traditionally for thousands and thousands of years. So, yeah, I'm excited, Fanny, about the
Ah.
future, and in particular, this week is quite unique. So I'll
Yeah,
let you
no,
know.
it's a whole new chapter opening, and it's great to see how you've been learning with this current space, and you're going to keep it, and people love it. But with all that learning and all the community you have, but you're now able to think about another project and to launch something else.
Yes, yes. And
Oh,
and also to do these co-working retreats too will be part of the future. And now I
busy,
plan to
busy.
yeah, to start partnering with some of the women who have been guests to
Mm-hmm.
be running retreats with me for the Kumari community. So one that's a chef we're discussing, and I have another one that's an astrologist that I've already worked with on one of my retreats. And so and I have another winemaker who's a past guest, and she's part of my retreats. So the community is really working also this full circle where we're
Mm-hmm.
also, the system of I am helping you, you're helping me, we're working together, we're working apart, and it's working. But it's new for most of us, so it's also piano, and that's okay
Mm-hmm.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that sounds very good. We're coming to the end, so before we close this, is there anything else you wanted to share that we haven't tackled yet?
No, I think, the one unique thing about me with co-working and co-living spaces that I have is that it really is just me running it. And that's fine. I used to be the CEO of an international large company, and I
Mm-hmm.
sold it to transition. So I am used to lots of different personalities and doing lots of things at once, but it is still just me. And I do have a 4-year-old, and I am in Sicily, which gives
Mm-hmm.
me some barriers in terms of time, money, other things. So when people come to me or think of me, is to know that anything I do is a boutique experience, but it's also me. I'm answering every message, whether it's on socials or via email. And I am
Mm-hmm.
formal. I come from New York. I have a business background. So I do like to do things also professionally, and like to also have my guests have that professionalism with me too when they're interested or want to connect with me as well. That it is different when you are a self-funded female entrepreneur in a male-dominated world, that like you're doing everything you can to
Mm-hmm.
survive already. And so that's also what makes Kumari kind of what it is too, is that it's me
Yeah.
and I'm in it, and I tell the women everything. I'm very transparent. And so um, I like for people to understand too that I'm not a big organization, or there isn't lots of people behind it. It is me. So also part of it is
Yes.
connecting with me or appreciating the work I've done, and then we'll have even a better experience together. So that's kind
Yeah.
of just something on the side.
And that is what makes your space has its own vibe, its own flavor. It's unique.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Besides the women themselves that are just incredible. So
It's like a melting pot with everybody, and you create this own unique experience
yes. And
each
I
and
hope
every
if you
time.
become a nomad again, that you can then come to Kumari as well.
I would love to see it with my own eyes.
Yes.
Uh, so, if people want to know more about Kumari or about you and what you're doing, how can they reach out to you?
Email's best. Again, I'm a little old school in that way. I'm very active on Instagram. So if you want to get a vibe of me, Kumari, Sicily, this area of Sicily on Volcano Etna, my Instagram stories are the thing I am so committed to now for years because people say they like them so much. So I really try to show a day in the life, and I am just sharing images that I see and experiences I personally have. I don't have to curate anything. Life here is quite ridiculous and dynamic. And so that's a great way to get a feel is our stories. But if you want to connect with me, email is always the best, which is on my site. It's very easy to find, or filling
Mhm.
out a form on my site, and there's a place to add a message. Is definitely the best way to connect with me, or to ask for a quick call, these kind of
Mhm.
things that, yeah,
Yeah,
very
fantastic. I'll
open.
add the links to those in the comments so that they're easily found. And that's it. Thank you so much for
Thanks,
being here
Fanny.
and for sharing your project and your passion and this new project coming in,
Yes,
which
my
I'll be
pleasure.
sure
My
to follow.
pleasure. I'll give you the update when I have it.
I'm gonna check it so much. Thank you so much, and see you later.
Thanks,
Bye.
Fanny.